My dear friends, you walk into a room, and before anyone says a single word, you've already ranked yourself last. You see someone else's success online, and a quiet voice asks, "Why not me?" You smile in every photo while quietly losing a war with your own reflection. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not broken. You've just been taught to look for your worth in the wrong place. Most people believe self-esteem is the prize you collect after you succeed. Get the job, the body, the relationship, the bank balance, and confidence will follow. But if that were true, every successful person would feel unshakable. They don't. Plenty of people who have everything on paper still feel like frauds waiting to be exposed. So if achievement, money, and applause don't build self-esteem, what actually does? That's what we're talking about today. Not fake confidence. Not a quote you'll forget by tomorrow. The real shift that happens the day you stop waiting for permission to value yourself, because that's the day everything else starts to change. Stop borrowing your worth from other people. Most of our pain doesn't come from failure. It comes from handing other people the pen and letting them write our value for us. From childhood, we learn to feel important when we're praised and invisible when we're ignored. So without ever deciding to, we hand over the keys to our own self-worth. People are not a stable currency. Picture two students who get the exact same B+ on an exam. One shrugs and moves on with their day. The other spirals for a week because a single classmate raised an eyebrow at the grade. Same result, completely different relationship with their own opinion of themselves, because the second student isn't being judged by reality. They're being judged by a stranger's mood, which can change by tomorrow. Borrowed confidence is like decorating a house on land you don't own. It can look beautiful, but you never actually control it. The more you build your identity on other people's approval, the more your dreams shrink to fit inside whatever other people happen to be comfortable with. Think of the talented person who never posts their work, never starts the business, never sends the application, not because they lack skill, but because they're still waiting for a stranger's permission slip that was never anyone else's to give in the first place. Real self-esteem starts the moment you decide your worth isn't up for a vote. You were valuable before anyone clapped for you, and you'll stay valuable even when nobody notices. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Think about a friend who cancels on you 4 times in a row. By the 5th invite, you don't even check your calendar, because you already expect the no-show. Now ask yourself honestly, how many times have you been that friend to yourself? Snoozing the alarm, skipping the workout, postponing the resume, the apology, the application always starting Monday. Every broken promise to yourself is a small withdrawal from your own trust account. Eventually, your mind stops RSVPing to your own goals, because it has learned, through repeated evidence, that your word doesn't hold. This is why so many capable, intelligent people feel stuck. It's rarely a lack of talent. It's that they've spent years quietly teaching themselves that their own commitments are optional. Compare 2 people setting the same goal, say, writing for 30 minutes every morning. One treats it like a meeting they can't reschedule. The other treats it like a nice idea they'll get to eventually. A year later, the first person has a finished manuscript and a quiet, earned confidence. The second person has a folder of half-started drafts and a long list of reasons. The difference was never talent. It was which one of them, their own word, could actually be trusted to listen to. The fix isn't a dramatic overhaul. It's small, almost boring consistency. Getting up when you said you would. Finishing what you said you'd finish, even after the motivation has worn off and nobody is watching. Each kept promise is a brick. Confidence isn't built by thinking positively about yourself, it's built by collecting proof, day after day, that you can actually rely on yourself. Stop talking to yourself like an enemy. If you spoke to a friend the way most of us speak to ourselves after one mistake, that friendship wouldn't survive the month. Yet we say to ourselves daily, you always mess this up. You'll never get this right, and somehow call it normal. Your mind doesn't always separate truth from repetition. Tell it often enough that you're not capable, and it starts hunting for evidence to prove you right. Every mistake gets filed away as, "See, I told you so," while every win gets dismissed as luck. That loop isn't honesty. It's a habit. And habits can be retrained. Picture someone who gives a presentation that goes mostly fine, with one stumbled sentence near the end. The whole drive home, that one sentence is all they can hear. Not the parts that landed, not the questions people asked with genuine interest, just the stumble, replayed on a loop. That's not an accurate review of the presentation. It's a habit of selective cruelty. And like any habit, it was learned, which means it can also be unlearned. This doesn't mean ignoring real mistakes or pretending everything is fine. It means becoming the kind of inner voice that tells the truth without trying to destroy you. The difference between a strict coach and a bully. A coach says, "That wasn't your best. Let's fix it." A bully says, "You're worthless." Same mistake, two completely different outcomes for how fast you recover. Strong people aren't people who never fall. They're people who've simply stopped letting every fall rewrite who they are. Accept your imperfections without apology. Many of us are waiting for a finished, flawless version of ourselves before we let self-respect kick in. I'll feel confident once I lose the weight, get the promotion, fix the flaw. But perfection works like a horizon. Walk toward it for 10 years, and it's exactly as far away as the day you started. If your self-worth is parked on the other side of perfect, it never actually arrives. Compare two people carrying the same scar, one literal, one emotional. One spends a decade hiding it, terrified someone will notice. The other simply lets it be part of their story. The scar itself never changes. What changes is how much energy they spend defending against it, and hiding almost always costs more than being seen ever could. Real self-esteem doesn't sound like "I'm perfect." It sounds like "I'm flawed, and I'm still worthy." Accepting yourself today while still growing tomorrow. Your value doesn't rise when you win, and it doesn't fall when you fail. It stays constant the whole way through. Create a life that makes you proud. Plenty of people chase approval, finally get the recognition they wanted, and still feel hollow a month later because applause works like a song on repeat. Thrilling the first few times, background noise by the 20th play, external rewards fade fast. What's left every single time is your relationship with yourself. So shift the question. Instead of, "How do I get more people to approve of me?" ask, "Am I proud of who I'm becoming?" That one shift changes the entire game. You stop competing with other people's highlight reels and start competing with who you were yesterday. That kind of confidence doesn't collapse the moment someone stops clapping, because it was never built on the clapping to begin with. Picture two people who reach the exact same milestone, same promotion, same finish line. One got there by cutting corners, lying when convenient, stepping over people who trusted them. The other got there slower, but honestly. Strip away the trophy and ask which one sleeps better at night. That's the real measurement. Self-esteem runs on not what you achieved, but what you can look at in the mirror and still respect. None of this requires becoming a different person overnight. It requires you to stop outsourcing your worth, start keeping your word to yourself, soften the voice in your head, drop the demand for perfection, and build a life that earns your own respect first, before anyone else's. Do that consistently, and confidence stops being something you chase. It becomes something you simply are. If this resonated with you, that's already proof of something. A part of you is ready to stop waiting and start building. So start today with one promise to yourself you'll actually keep. And if even one part of this hits something real for you, don't just scroll past it. Drop a comment and tell me which point you needed to hear today. That alone might be the first promise you keep. Hit like so this reaches someone else who's silently fighting the same battle. Send it to a friend who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in the next video.